Hey! Hello, everybody, and welcome. So this is the panel on the public track today. This is your Esports 101 panel. So we're very happy to see you guys here today. Very happy that you guys are able to join us. So this is honestly Esports 101 is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to cover a lot of the topics of if your university is thinking about implementing a varsity program on your campus, if you're in the process of kind of getting that set up and started, kind of wherever you are at within that spectrum of your planning, is hopefully things that we'll be able to help you with out today. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with introductions for all of us here. So I'm AJ. I am the esports coach here at Park University. Also serve as the chair-elect for the board of directors, so hello again. And I will be moderating this panel for today. So let's go ahead and kick it over to Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Lamb. I'm the head esports coach for Minnesota State University Mankato. I've been, and this is Scar, she will make appearances. I've been in the esports community for almost 4 years now. I've been developing high school and university programs and advising, and that's how I came to my Amada to be the head coach. And I'm very excited for this panel and just Nace itself.
All right. And then underneath me, Brady Bunch style, is Bennett.
Awesome. My name is Bennett Newsom. I'm the esports strategist at Full Sail University down in Florida, and I've been in the gaming and the esports world for quite a long time. Prior to my position at Full Sail, I had started streaming on Twitch. Really discovered that whole platform. Been there now for like 6 years. I'm a Twitch partner, but I've been at Full Sail now for 15 years, which is crazy. I get to do all things esports at the school and really kind of focus on the global esports perspective. So happy to be here. Excited to talk about all things esports.
Awesome. And last but not least, Luke.
All right, hey everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. My name is Luke Trotz. I'm the director of esports at St. Francis University in Loretto, PA. There are a few SFUs out there, but we're the one in rural PA in Loretto. As my colleagues here have said, just really excited to chat with all of you today, so feel free to start dropping questions in. We have some pre-planned things for you, but want to hear what you all want to know about to start with as well.
Yes, perfect. All right. So like Luke said, definitely feel free to drop any questions that you guys might have. We do have 10 minutes slated at the end of the panel to take everybody's questions that you guys drop in chat. So to get the conversation started, we're going to start at the very beginning of your journey. You're somebody that's on your university or on your campus that is interested in kind of starting the esports varsity program process. Where do you start? Who do you talk to? How do you get the decision makers on your campus to buy into your idea of creating and kind of spearheading a varsity esports program? So I think we kind of start at the administration level. So for you guys, with your current positions on your university, were you the ones that kind of spearheaded the trajectory for your specific programs? Did you have a champion on campus that helped you out? It'd be cool to kind of hear from all of you guys on that one.
Yeah, sure. I can jump in here quickly. We had it actually come from multiple angles. We had our creative agency or department at the school, Platinum Creative, was taking on a new project and focusing on esports as a lot of other things were happening. Student clubs were forming and focusing on the fighting game community and Call of Duty and all of the different games that we obviously play now. As well, we had students and faculty had been coming together, proposing, "Hey, we want to have a focus in esports. We want to have teams. This would be a great addition to the university." So all of those things just kind of happened to kind of combined at the same time, and really take on that role of supporting the student clubs and then elevating them to varsity. And kind of working our way through that. Obviously, at Full Sail, we really focus on careers. And so as we started to see the esports industry grow and a lot of our graduates go into these, awesome positions in the world of esports, we knew that this was something to really start focusing on. So we were lucky to get a kind of an early start on that and have the support from everybody from our faculty and students all the way up to the administration.
I can go next. We had several esports clubs on our campus, and we actually had one student who really pushed to get the administration and the students talking, because it was a little bit of a struggle to combine those two at first. And one of the student senators actually connected everyone, and I was part of that advisory committee. And from there, we just kept having meetings and then side meetings, and the university just really started to back it almost 2 years ago, I think. And then we became full. Our first year was this past year. And having that student support, though, is what really helped back us, is having those large esports clubs, and then being able to, like Bennett said, move them up into a varsity spot and really cultivate them.
Awesome. So for us, it was a little of a unique situation. All the stars kind of aligned for us. We had a couple students come to us and say, hey, would St. Francis ever do esports? And so as I ran that conversation up the ladder, I was actually met halfway by our vice president, who shared with me that our President's Council was already considering this opportunity due to the opportunity to renovate our student center. And so luckily for us, we already had our President's Council was already in support of the endeavor, and we were able to implement our space with the renovation of our student center. So it was a little bit of a unique situation for us. I know that's definitely the case with a lot of our audience members here today. But in terms of that administration buy-in, which we'll get to in a little bit, definitely needed to have a lot of the numbers to support that effort. So a little different for us.
Cool. Awesome. So while we're kind of like on the topic, okay, so you've got your university to buy in, because I do think that once folks do buy into the program and they do see all of the benefits that come along with it, they're like sold, right? So kind of staying along this vein of buy-in, how do you get buy-in if you have a recruit that comes to you and is really jazzed and really excited about wanting to be a part of your program, and then they come for a campus tour and you meet the parents and maybe they're not as jazzed maybe as their student is. So kind of let's talk about buy-in. How do you help kind of navigate the parents into buy-in as well?
I can start with this one. I actually have a unique story for that. I had a recruit who she went through the whole recruitment process, and their parents came for an open house. And because we invited her to our esports discords and members started talking to them, she knew that instant that she wanted to come to our university. So it's a little bit different for the parents, just showing that we are welcoming and being super inclusive and supporting her as a gamer was very beneficial for the parents to see that while she's going to get an education, because that's what we are here first and foremost, but she is going to have the backing of a large community that she can help grow her own skill and participate in.
For us, it's definitely about demonstrating the level of support that they're going to have, similar to what Jackie was saying. Parents get very excited when we share with them the amount of support in terms of academics. We have two great academic advisors that are helping our students follow through with our academic plan and make sure that their GPAs are exceptional, not just minimal for competition. We also have a team trainer that implements a whole health and wellness program for our players. And then being a faith-based campus, we have a chaplain that is one of the friars on campus that's really just there to build a relationship with them. And if the student decides to connect with them at a spiritual level, then that's completely up to them. But mostly you'll see our chaplain playing Super Smash against our students a good bit. But when we share that with our families and our potential parents, that really gives them another level of reassurance that they just aren't playing video games in the basement anymore. This is a very supported, organized effort that our campus is 100% behind.
Definitely, I agree with everybody that's spoke so far. I think one of the unique things about Full Sail, and we hear it a lot, is students say, like, I feel like I landed on my planet when I come here. And I was that same type of a kid growing up, fully involved in music, and being around the people that also felt like that was super important. And I think a lot of times when we have conversations with parents, when they're coming through on the the tour, we have opportunities for them to tour the entire campus and see it firsthand. They get it already. Their son or daughter has expressed this interest, and it is a different approach to education at Full Sail. So it's really one of those things that it's not necessarily convincing them that this is a cool thing that your kid should be into. It's more of I'm really excited that my child's going to have an opportunity to participate from all the different levels of esports and gaming at the university. And so I think that helps us out a lot. I know that's a little bit different of an approach, but it's been really interesting to see, parents come in and sometimes they're leaving saying, hey, I want to sign up here. This place is cool,
I want to read it just a little bit what you said there at the last, Bennett, is that, well, I get questions from parents. Well, what if we don't make the team? What if my child doesn't make the team? At Minnesota State, Mankato, we have the clubs and the levels that they can help participate in. And I feel like a lot of other universities have that too. So we can also help you if you don't make the university team. And that's what makes esports just so special.
Yeah, I think and that probably goes for everybody, is there's multiple approaches to esports. And while the competitive side is definitely just that, competitive, it's so many other layers, club and student run events, and just participating in all of the activities that happen, I think gives you so much more of a well-rounded esports experience while at school, even if you're not playing on the varsity team.
Cool. And I'm just picturing your chaplain sitting there playing Super Smash Brothers. That is what a great example of being able to show support. I couldn't think of literally any better way to have staff members at your university show support for your program. I love that. So the next thing, so you've got buy-in from, you've talked to the administration. You're getting students excited. You've got parents that are buying in. So now that you've got some traction, how do you figure out what goals or objectives that you are going to set for your program? How do you come up with those specifically for what's going to best fit kind of your institution? I'll throw it to Luke first for this one.
Absolutely. So you have to really, I think you touched on a little bit in the director session last session, but you have to really make sure you have those goals identified. And for us, we knew that we weren't going to be recruiting ex-professionals or top 500 players in the country. That's just not who we would attract as a university. And so I think it's really important to be realistic about that, especially with a school like Harrisburg University, 2 hours away from us. And they only recruit professionals and have professionals coaching their teams and everything. And so if that tier player is looking for a school in PA, they're probably looking at Harrisburg compared to us. And so we really, it's really important for schools to make sure what they want their niche to be. And for us, we wanted to be a best practice institution for collegiate esports. That was what we set our goal to be. And so that's where that level of support comes from, and why we were so invested in that staffing support, and then also building that co-curricular development, like Bennett was saying earlier, for students. Our shoutcasters, our web managers, our content creators, they're all work studies. We pay all of our students to support our program in the back end. And so we wanted to make sure that we were providing that level of co-curricular development and best practice for staffing. And so I think that's just an important conversation that whoever the stakeholders are at the institution, whenever you are starting your program, you really need to look at the climate of your region specifically and see what schools are doing esports, where are some schools already have a niche in, what are some schools doing already, and maybe you're lucky enough where you're the first in your region. Maybe there's no one else in a 3-hour radius of your campus where you can pretty much make your own identity then at that point. And so that's a difficult conversation to have, but it's a really important one to have at those early stages with your stakeholders, to be able to say, this is what we want our program to look like in 5 years once we have 4 rounds of recruitment classes coming in for our program.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Luke just said. I think outlining those things are super important as you move forward. And another thing that he had talked about is that experience those students are getting working and supporting the program. That is a huge focus for us at Full Sail. Obviously, with a career focused type of curriculum, we want our students and our graduates to leave with not only the skills that they need for their degree program, but also things that they have done along the journey to their esports career. And so having positions like that available for students to sign up for and join and help kind of guide and run their program is super important for any successful esports program at a college, because it gives that buy-in back to the students. They are now invested. They want to do this already, and you're now giving them a title or something that they can own and really take it to the next level.
I can agree more with what you both said. Just a little different take is thinking about your next semester, your next year is also just so important. We're always, a year or two thinking, even though the esports scene is changing within months and rules and sets always change. But trying to set small goals, I think, is really good to start with, especially if you're just starting out. Consider what teams you can create on your campus, and then you'll see as your semester is going if other students are available to participate on other titles. And then you're just going to grow with that also. And then so your goals are going to be changing constantly, and just being able to adapt and change with your university and your students is going to be a huge positive.
Ooh, awesome. Cool. So we've got some goals. We've got some objectives in place for our program. What are some goals or objectives, or maybe something that you did when you started your program? I don't want to use the word failure, but what is something that maybe you tried to implement that maybe missed the mark? What's something that maybe you spent a lot of time on and realized that maybe it wasn't the right time or place to do that? What are some kind of gotchas or pitfalls that you guys have ran into so far? We'll start with Bennett.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if it's necessarily that we've run into it, but something I've seen a lot is like an overcommitment right out the gate when it's still, young. And that's tough. If you're just convincing people that you're going to do this esports thing and you're going to have varsity teams, start with one game. If they're not sold on it yet, if your administration isn't there, just start small and really develop that game. I'm sure there's going to be other students that, we want this game and we want that game. But if the resources are slim, really focus on building that one, because I've seen schools that have, hey, we're going to have 9 different titles, and we're going to fill those all with teams. And then they realize that the resources that they're provided from administration can only benefit so many of those teams. And then, you have students that are frustrated. Well, why is this team getting more than my team? We're better than them, and it creates a kind of a chasm there for you to fall into, and you don't want to be there for sure. So I always try to say, if you're just starting out and you're looking for that buy-in from above, start small. Really prove that one team, Rocket League, whatever it may be, something that could be an easy startup to get that going, and then evolve from there, versus having to go backwards where all of a sudden you start cutting 4 or 5 teams at a time, and leading to a lot of disappointment. That is something that you definitely want to avoid, and growing slowly is definitely going to be in your benefit.
I'll add on to that, I also think that one of the things that we at our school are trying to do is we're still in our recruitment phase and tryouts. One of the things that happened last year is that we announced our teams too early, and then we had students drop out, or because of COVID, they didn't want to come up into the spring. And so we were short students all of a sudden and trying to scramble for extra players to participate. And so really trying to cultivate your own teams and showing that, you need to be dedicated, you need to be committed, and that stressing that this isn't just a club sport, it is a varsity sport, and that's what you're going to be participating in. And so I think holding off on tryouts, and every university is going to be different, but really showing that your students, that you want them to participate and that you want them to be dedicated, is going to help you in the long run.
Awesome. For us, it was one of the biggest hiccups that I could think of when we were talking about this question was our first year, we actually required our players to make all new Discords using their school emails, just to kind of symbolize taking this next step to a varsity program, and that they're representing the university now. And that was unfortunately definitely a big failure for us. We would have high school kids trying to engage with our current students in our Discord, and people trying to ask questions directed towards our current players, and our Discord was just completely barren. We had zero engagement in our Discord, and so finally, after that first year, we said, okay, as long as you change everything on our server like we want it to look, then you can use your primary Discord accounts. And thankfully, that allowed engagement to skyrocket, thankfully. But that was definitely one thing that we thought was going to be beneficial for us in terms of setting kind of that tone for a varsity program. But students just weren't using that Discord since you can't like switch accounts on the app or anything like that, like you could like on Instagram or something. And so that was definitely one of the biggest hiccups I had, and we had. And so for anyone that was considering that, I would say as long as you have the good code of conduct in place and you really set that expectation ahead of time in terms of how they're to conduct themselves and represent the program, then I would say that you should be safe allowing students to use their primary accounts once they join your program.
Awesome. I do want to, we've already got a couple of questions in the chat, and I want to make sure that we get to those. So I think I might just start kind of cherry picking those in. So the first one that we have from Jeff Darby, are all teams co-ed? What is your guesstimate of representation of male and female in terms of participants? So I actually just might speak on this one briefly, because this is definitely something that always been especially important to me. So I did my first League of Legends team, which was in the spring of 2019, had 3 female and 4 male athletes. And as our program has grown and we've added Rocket League and Overwatch, my Overwatch team last year was 50-50 male-female. But I've also had a lot of other I've had a lot of LGBTQ students come into my program, and I've had a lot of non-binary students come into my program as well. So I think representation in terms of what your current student body looks like and making sure that there's a lot of representation there is very important. Park University also has a really large international population as well. So I've got a handful of international students on my roster as well. So I think that representing kind of the fabric of what your university already looks like, and kind of investing in those resources to ensure that that happens is really important. So what about you guys? What is your representation of your rosters look like? We'll start with.
Awesome. So year one, we had one lone woman in our program, but she really championed that, and she really owned that identity. And actually last year in year two, between competitors and work studies and back-end staff, we probably have about 20 women in our program now. And I 100% give most of that credit to Miranda, who was our Overwatch captain in that year one. She really just made all other women on our campus know that anyone can be in the program, anyone can come into the arena, everyone has card access to come to our arena without a charge, and so we really were able to use her as our champion for that, and increase that level of engagement. And now actually we have a sorority that's in our arena almost every Sunday, and they do little Mario Kart tournament against each other every Sunday. It's really cool to see. And so I think the key to that is just finding one or two champions to help with that inclusivity and creating that type of environment and really owning that identity.
Yeah, I would agree with what Ashley said earlier about reflecting your campus and what your student body looks like. And I think that's so important. So that focus of inclusivity is something that we're really taking on, firsthand at Full Sail. And we do, our teams are co-ed. One thing that is unique about the school, that we have starts every month and graduations every month. So we have like a rolling kind of tryout. We have like a main tryout for the fall that's usually in person, which is great. But then it's, students that are coming in that may be a top player in the game, they can submit an application to try out whenever. So that does fluctuate. But, we've had a lot of opportunities to, really try to focus on those types of things. Our student president of our teams is a female, and she's been a varsity captain for Overwatch and now Rainbow Six. And so we're really excited about that. And as we continue to, focus on inclusivity, it's something that, a bigger, a more global approach to it at the school has really started to come out of that, which, we're really excited for.
Our first semester, we didn't have any females on our varsity teams. We did have back end and behind the scenes females working. And going forward now, I definitely have some players who are specifically going out. My Overwatch team is almost all women, and I'm so excited for that. But I think the behind the scenes too is also very important. And that is, speaking of goals, that's one of my own personal goals, is to get more women to participate in our varsity teams. While we do have a lot of club, we have about 500 club members, and that is much more diverse. And it's not that they aren't able to be on the collegiate team. They just don't want to. They don't want to be on the competitive side. They want to be more casual, and either they're working or focusing really on school. So it's not that we just don't have the students for it. We just don't have students that actually want to be on the competitive side at the moment.
Awesome. And then I'm going to grab the second question from Jeff Darby. Can you talk about some of the startup costs to consider and any other budgetary items that should be taken into consideration? And I think that this is for a program that's just going to be launching. So Jackie, what are some thoughts there?
Some startup costs is definitely going to be your facility. Working with a program or a supplier to get your PCs and your furniture is very beneficial. And then thinking about if you have a broadcast room or a VOD room, those are very two important rooms that you're going to need, especially if you're going to be streaming your matches, which I think is a huge part of a program, is being able to showcase your viewers, because you don't have, well, not everyone has a giant arena for their family to go to. So especially during COVID, being able to have their family watch them on Twitch was just a benefit for them, and being able to use that equipment. It sometimes isn't just a PC. You're going to need heavier equipment for that.
Yeah, I can jump in here too, and use, and Jackie said it, space is a huge, consideration to bring up, because if it's like most campuses across the country, space is limited and may not be available. So utilizing the opportunity to renovate a old computer lab or a spot that you can kind of own as the esports side of things is going to be very important. Then comes all the other things like computers and things like that. But the other thing, and this changed obviously due to COVID, but would be eventually like travel if your team was successful. that is something to consider. The worst thing that could happen is your team makes some sort of finals and then they can't go because there's no funds in the budget. So, getting a plan together to have a, kind of focused area of, hey, this is for when our teams have to travel or if they travel. And even if it's traveling around the state, giving those students the opportunity to go and play and compete against other students is a huge deal. Having that in your budget is going to be very important.
Absolutely. For me, I would just recommend, in terms of building your space and budget associated with that, you definitely need to identify what games you're going to be playing. Obviously, if you're planning on doing Overwatch, you need at least 6 PCs. And so I think that's really important to know, and then how many PCs your space or stations your space could potentially hold. I think that is a big part of that budget. And if I know for us, for those that are looking for like a rough number, when we built our space, we budgeted about $3,200 for each station, and that's PC, monitor, chair, mouse, keyboard, all the above. And so hopefully that helps those that are looking for a rough guesstimate in terms of building out their space per station.
Cool. I'm going to grab Forrest Smith's question here really quick. Is there a list of games that Nace supports? I will say that throughout the convention, there are going to be different panels that discuss competition and titles and leagues and how we run them. Every year, the tournaments and the titles that Nace supports is going to change for a number of factors and reasons. So it'll shift and it will differ from year to year. So throughout the convention, you're going to be able to see for this upcoming year the games and the titles that Nace is going to be fielding some competition in. So I see some couple of questions in here about streaming, and we haven't really touched on that one yet. So I wanted to jump to those. One of those being Michael Brooks. How important is streaming, and how do you build a channel from scratch? So who started their university's esports Twitch channel from scratch, and how did you do it, and how did it get to where it is today?
Definitely. It takes time. It's not, I've been doing this personally for 6 years, streaming on Twitch, and it's been a long journey, but you learn things as you go. And I think that's the really cool thing about Twitch is that you don't have to have all the answers right at the beginning, that you can just start and go. Now, I did see a question here from Aaron that said, do you recommend streaming right away, or should you focus on building the team first? I think it's important to start to build the team and focus on, getting them organized in that fashion. But when it comes to streaming, you could stream building your chairs. You could stream building your arena, your esports space. Anything can really be streamed. And it's a good practice to start building content because you're going to learn. You're going to learn like, hey, this went well or didn't go well, and let's not do that again, and you kind of start moving through the process. One thing that I see a lot of streamers and programs do is they wait for it to be perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. Getting out there and just doing it and kind of taking that dive is a really good first step. And then working with Twitch student, there's always opportunities there to grow and be involved in more of the collegiate community. As well as communicating and talking with other universities that maybe your team is going to be playing, setting up scrims, starting to stream those types of things. There's always opportunities to grow your channel, but I think there is definitely a little bit of fear. So when you first start out, just get started. Just download either OBS, Streamlabs. Twitch makes a program now that you can use that's very, very easy to use. And, just start streaming. And even if it's your captain of your team or the very first person that was like, hey, we want esports here, give them an opportunity, give them a platform to stream on that channel, and then start to evolve it. One thing that we did really pretty much as the pandemic was hitting was start a stream team as well for our students. And it was not just varsity players. It was other students that wanted to be involved that maybe didn't have the competitive level or interest in competing at that level. But we invited them to become a content creator for the Full Sail Armada channel. And then they would stream during the day when we weren't having any matches, any varsity matches going on, that they could play Zelda and play retro games. They could play The Sims, they could play whatever they wanted and just have fun creating that content, be in front of the Armada community and really start to evolve. And then, you see these students that are now really streaming on their own channel and they've got a stride and it's really cool to see. So I couldn't endorse, Twitch and streaming any more than that, I guess, but it's definitely worth starting and just jumping into, because that experience that you'll gain and learn is really going to be valuable.
I really like that idea and I might just steal it. But I also think it's important to stream right away, because that's where you're going to get maybe someone who doesn't want to be competitive, that wants to help with the esports community, and they can be a producer. They can be on the back end of running the stream. We have 3 to 4 people in our broadcast room just running the stream, but then you're going to have your shoutcasters. You're going to have people who are running your cameras and doing interviews, and those are all really important roles that lead into streaming and helping you grow your channel.
Absolutely, and another thing is you can build up your shoutcasters in your production. For us, we have yet to put our shoutcasters on camera. Right now, they only use voiceover to the matches. You can hear their voices during the intermissions. We'll put pictures up of shoutcasters, but right now we until our shoutcasters are more comfortable and they're a little more prepared, we don't have them on camera yet. And so you can kind of phase in those steps of your production and of your shoutcasting and that experience as a whole as your program begins to develop and your students get more comfortable and develop their abilities as well. So I definitely agree with Jackie. I think it's definitely important to start right away, but you can do so in phases, especially because another question that we didn't get to yet is just about getting sponsors. I mean, having those numbers and that reach, being able to say we have an average of 1,000 viewers on every one of our streams. Would you like to get some real estate on our streams for sponsors to support the program is really important. So I would definitely recommend, like Jackie said, getting that as part of the experience as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that I would kind of like to throw in as well, for me, when I first got to Parkin and got into this position, for me, I was always thinking about, okay, how do I take these student athletes that are in a non-traditional sport and make them feel like athletes? And one of the ways that we're able to do that is being able to stream their matches live. It's not like a basketball game where you know to go to the basketball domes and what day and what time and who we're playing months in advance. There's so many institutions, Bennett's aside, there's so many institutions that don't have these built out spaces where people can gather and watch these together in person. So Twitch is going to be the way that you connect your athletes, your student athletes, to the community and to the fan base, so they can get the feeling of they're being watched, they have an audience, they have their friends and their classmates and their professors and their parents all rooting them on, just like they would be in a traditional setting. So I think Twitch is wildly important to kind of help that student experience along, to help them. It just adds another layer of, okay, I feel like an athlete. Like I'm almost putting on a performance, I would say. Another thing that we haven't talked about yet is we've got about 10 minutes left. So one other thing that we haven't talked about yet that was brought up was scholarships. So Corey Langford said, do you have scholarships in place to attract varsity athletes to your university? If so, how would you recommend implementing the scholarship and getting those funds approved by the university? So who has scholarships?
I'll start, I guess. So when we joined Nace about 3 years ago, we asked Patrick and Michael what the average Nace scholarship was, and we kind of set a benchmark a little above that average. And we said we will budget out X amount of dollars times that what that benchmark was above that average for us. And as long as out of all the students in our program are getting scholarship, as long as their average of scholarship is X amount, then we can navigate that however we need to. Jeff, when we joined in 2019, the average Nace scholarship at the time was 2,500. I'm sure it's a little bit higher now as more schools get involved with Nace and more schools start investing more into their programs. And so we set a benchmark a little bit above 2,500 and said, okay, if we plan on having 50 roster positions throughout all the different game titles, X amount times 50 is what our scholarship budget is. And so then we treat it very much like a traditional sport, right? So for Overwatch, if I need a really good DPS player, then I'm going to probably recruit someone and give them a little bit more scholarship for a DPS player compared to, for us, Rocket League's our most successful recruiting title. I don't have to do a lot of work to recruit Rocket League players in our region, thankfully. And so our Rocket League players don't receive as much scholarship as our Overwatch or League of Legends players, which are two of the harder games for our program to recruit for. So we took that benchmark and used that to set the overall budget, and then we just maintain that amongst ourselves to make sure that that average is always the same. And that is not this follow-up question. That's not a sponsorship. That's institutionally backed, and we took the numbers off of net tuition revenue compared to other programs that we offer scholarships for, like traditional athletics and some of our honors programs.
Our school offers scholarships, but not specific to esports. So we are a larger university, and we have the ability to help narrow down different scholarships. So I've helped several students apply for 5 to 10 different types of scholarships. And then I think that I would love to offer scholarships in the future. That's definitely one of our goals. But being able to just have students come for our education and the titles that we're offering is a huge plus. That's how we've garnered a lot of our students for the fall, and being able to show that we're going to have this title, you're going to have a varsity team this, and you're going to have the backing of the school, and while they're also getting their education.
I like to. We do have many scholarships for non-esports things, but gaming scholarships, and really focused on career scholarships for the degrees that our students are going into. But we are looking at starting some esports specific scholarships, hopefully in the fall. But currently don't have any.
Okay, so we have just about 7 minutes left in our time. So this will kind of be the last question, and we'll kind of go around the room here. I'm starting a new program this fall. Any high-level suggestions on what to do or where to start? Does anybody have a key achievement list? And this one is from Miles Hardy.
Yeah, I think you can throw Jake's in there too, because they kind of are aligned with the community. The community is so important. Obviously, we're talking about varsity esports and focusing on the teams, but the community is the heart and soul of esports at your school. And ignoring that is going to be something that will be very challenging for you in the future. So really trying to focus on community-led events, community opportunities. If there are events, are there ways for other people that aren't involved in the varsity program to get involved? Those are going to be really important things for any university, especially starting out, to do, because you got to remember your students are already doing this. They're already playing. They're already having fun. They're meeting other students on campus. They're playing games together. Maybe they're super competitive. They're finding tournaments to join. Give them a reason to do that together on campus and focus on building that community, because you'll be able to make things a lot easier on yourself as you keep moving forward.
I 100% agree with that. Being able to reach out to your students and your clubs and having them come to you and ask, even if you can't support a title right away, showing them that you're willing to consider it is very important. and just showing that you want to help them. You want to help them with other events. So I would suggest even putting a budget for club activities. Even if it's small, being able to support your clubs is just as important, because not everyone wants to be a competitive collegiate player. They just don't. And being able to support your students that's what we're here to do. We're here to support our students and help cultivate them.
For me, going back to our conversation about goal setting earlier, for us, and knowing the climate, for us, a huge part being a private faith-based institution is recruitment. So we need to make sure that we can sustain this program by bringing in new students to the university. So one of our biggest things we need to know is how many high schools in our area had esports. And so if, after surveying, found of the 5-county region, only 8 high schools had esports. And so we knew that we kind of had an uphill battle in terms of getting that buy-in. And so based on your goals, again, like I said before, just know the climate and know what you're going to getting into, because because of the nature of our climate, I've presented at least 20 school board meetings now about the benefits of esports and what it can do for students, and especially the scholarship money, going back to that, and there's scholarships now available for students. And so for me, that would be a big thing, is based on your goals, especially in terms of recruitment, know what that high school scene is.
I also want to point out it's really important to reach out to other universities or individuals. Ask people in the Nace Discord. There's so many people that are willing to just one-on-one chat with you, DM, even just hop on a call. I know I'm always willing to do that, and just ask your questions. Don't feel like you have a stupid question. There's not. Even if someone asked it last week, someone's just going to answer you. We're all super supportive, and I think that's one of some of the newer members. They're just like, I don't know if I should ask this. Is it a dumb question? It's not. We're here to help you.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, in the collegiate community for esports has been fantastic, and we've always experienced that whole rising tides lift all boats type of approach, where information that normally you would ask, oh, can you share your code of conduct with us? They're like, no, but they're like, here's this, also here's this and that, and like that, like, whoa, that's awesome. And so, it takes a little bit to say, like, hey, can you help me, and ask for help from someone. But in our experience at Full Sail, reaching out to other schools that are involved with Nace, it's been incredible. So like everyone said here, ask the questions, reach out. There's always opportunities to learn and share, and maybe that's the thing that takes it to the next step for you. So definitely, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with that, because when I came into my job after 2 weeks of starting a new job, I'm playing in CLOL against Columbia College, and I'm like, okay, we've made it to the big leagues now, and being able to reach out to folks in the Nace Discord was something that I religiously did for the first 6 months of my position, when I was still trying to learn everything that there is to learn, because there is so much to learn. And as Nace, it's always something, since I do sit on the board, one of the things that I've always wanted to see come to fruition, which is something that we've been working on, is a mentor-mentee program. So hopefully soon here, we're going to be able to have the ability for incoming schools that want to get paired up with a mentor school. So somebody who's been doing the thing for a year or so plus, and has a good footing of how to be helpful to a new school. There's going to be that program in place to kind of help you guys, literally give you a point of contact to. There is no question too dumb. There isn't any question that you could ask that we've never been asked before or haven't heard. So we're literally going to give you the ability to have a touch person that you can reach out to and be comfortable with asking those questions. But again, everybody in the Nace Discord is always so helpful. So that brings us right up to time. So I definitely want to thank Jackie. I want to thank Bennett and Luke for joining us today for Esports 101. I see a couple of them have already dropped in their Discord usernames or their Twitter handles. Definitely reach out to these folks. They are awesome, amazing people that are up to awesome, amazing stuff and are super willing and wanting to help. So thanks, everybody. What we have next going on after our session, there is going to be a mentor session that is open to all participants of the Nace convention. So you can find that on the Run the World homepage for the convention. And then a members-only chat for meeting the Eligibility Enforcement Committee members as well. So now you get to go off and choose your own adventure. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Take care.
Thank you.